Okay, Scott, thank you very much. Everyone, always grateful for the time you guys spend with us on these Q&A sessions. Um, you've got yourself, your host, Dan Merkin, CEO, and my never sidekick but partner, Brad Williams.
Hello,
Brad?
Dan. How are you?
Are you okay, buddy? That's like the worst sounding hello, how are you
Hey,
I've ever.
everybody. How are you? No, I'm good. It's nice to talk to you.
Okay,
Nice.
listen, if we're going to be providing our subscribers and future subscribers with a hell of a show and entertainment, let's have some pep in our step.
Just
Okay,
took a nice swig of coffee, so excellent. Let's get started.
let's do it. Before we start, we always have to make sure everyone understands that Trade Ideas is not a registered investment advisor. All the information that we're providing is for educational and informational purposes only. Please do not construe any of the securities or anything mentioned in here as a solicitation to buy or sell anything. Moving right along. Okay, so for the many of you, excuse me, for the many of you who are new and for the ones who already know, we're a game-changing company. We've been in business for 13 years, and we are the only ones out with an artificial intelligence engine that doesn't help you type like a lot of other people, but one that actually suggests a course of action. Our AI, Holly, tells people a strategy of what they should do to take advantage of statistical odds, similar to card counting and blackjack. So again, we're going to demonstrate all that. We're going to show you things. But before we jump into kind of the nitty-gritty, what you're seeing here is it's the preamble, the preface to our presentations, which is that investing is best not done by yourself. By yourself is somewhere where the worst things in you tend to come out because we like to reflect. And by the way, Brad, one thing that I love about seeing this slide, and I'm sure you kind of get it too, but when I look at these names, these handsome Trade Ideas people, what I notice is these are, I don't want to say these are my boys, but you know, here are guys who have been doing it since the 90s, okay? And we have such a strong network of self-investment support, meaning not just saying things like, hey, look at this setup. I mean, everybody can do that. But just the years of experience and fundamental understanding of what it is to speculate actively, you get this through Trade Ideas via our community first. We have an online community and it's free for everyone. Barry Anderson is our trading room moderator. Fantastic persona that he keeps from just before the open to close to the close, where Barry continuously shows people best case use cases for the software and just in general profit-taking human interaction with the market. And we have a meritocracy of people that are in the room. Just this screenshot is a live screenshot, except there's more people in there now. And the point being is trading with a group is much better than trading with yourself. We are social animals. That's just pure science, and this is one of the best places to do it because regardless if you're a Trade Ideas subscriber or not, our trading room always is free. So, next slide.
Well, you know, Dan, it's kind of interesting. You know, we started out on a trading floor, and you know, the trading floor provides a lot of advantages with interaction, people next to you calling out trades, and really, really beneficial in the whole trading experience, both learning and being profitable. And our trading room really does emulate that, if you will. It's like putting you on the floor of a trading room where you have all this active discussion of stocks that are moving, giving you an opportunity to participate.
Brad, it is that pack mentality, but what I really liked, and I think you and I can reflect back on the fact that in the trading room, people often jump to the end part, like, oh, what symbol is it? What'd you do? What'd you get? You know, they quickly move to kind of like the end game, let's say, which is how could I have gotten into the stock and made money? But there's so much nuanced benefit from this kind of environment, and that is you get to see people making mistakes and reacting. So you get to see human psychology play out, which when you're by yourself, you only get your own self. Or even in Twitter, you know, you're seeing people post. It's a type of flow, but it's not the real time. in the room, you get this real-time support where, like, if you do something wrong, you quickly get people saying, listen, you know, that could be really dangerous, with the right tone, and whether it relates to earnings or your buying power or anything, just a very positive environment. What have we done since we've created this technology? Here's our performance against the S&P since we launched the AI. And the way we track the AI is well, again, the AI has evolved, but every day the AI starts flat, it has nothing, and then it creates its own portfolio based on the things that it is going to suggest for you to buy and sell, and then it tracks that P&L. And in the end of the day, the AI exits everything. Now, you don't have to, but the AI does, because we start every day flat, so that we can't say that all of our performance is based on something that's running really well that we got in January. Brad, one of the interesting things I saw before I came into the presentation was a little article about the fact that 90% of all of the S&P stocks returns over like the last 4 years happen to be in the FANG stocks, meaning that the Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, Google, and whatever else I'm missing, Apple, they accounted for 90% of the, basically it's like you have these 4 strong swimmers dragging 400, dragging a bunch of anchors. So the interesting part about that, though, is a lesson that I would feel like is important for people to understand when it comes to investing, and just the critical fallacy of the buy and hold strategy, which is when you invest, you know, Bill Gates didn't get rich by buying an index. He got rich by being in the right stock that went. Same thing for Michael Dell or Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk's. They're ultimately undiversified. Now, let me explain why I'm saying that. Everybody tries to get more and more of your money into an index so that basically there's very little leeway in underperformance, so that you continue to put the money in it. Whereas what we are doing in active speculation and active investing, we are trying to uncover the new FANGs and see where they're located, because there are things that are out there that are moving, and our software, through its microscopic, broad lens of looking at the entire market at the same time, hunts for the statistical anomalies, and this is why we have this kind of performance chart. So I'm going to jump very quickly into the Q&A part of today, and I kind of created, Brad, some stuff, surprise for you.
Always look forward to it.
Oh, always. So yeah, there's going to be a couple of really cool things. But so basically, this is just for the people that aren't there, but for the ones that are, understand why is it that, again, you don't see us talking about things like relative strength and MACDs and even earnings or estimates and all that stuff, because to us, there is no right data point. There's just a preponderance of data. We want more data, and we can sift through it and get rid of the noise. There is no right or wrong data. So we don't ever preach the indicator or the setup, because anything at this point that's being done by a human is really incidental. And I'll prove it to you at the end of this webinar. Brad, let's jump right into your surprise.
That's the
favorite part of the presentation. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Trade Idea Software. Please let me know in the Q&A part of the webinar that you are able to see my screen. It should have some nicely colored lists and stuff like that. So, yeah, that's fine, Mike. Okay, great. Now remember, guys, for those of you that don't have a subscription to our software, this is okay. I speak on these Q&A sessions fairly generally and philosophically, partly because I believe the key to being successful is not making things overly complicated. So what I want to do is I'm going to start out with physics. Brad, do you know what the float of a stock is?
The float of a stock, that's how many shares are available to be purchased and sold in the market. It's a subset of the shares outstanding.
That's right, Brad. It's as if Brad did his homework.
I always got to prepare for this. I had no idea you were going to say that.
No, I would say listen, buddy. You got to get ready. So we, in our trading room, we talk about the float, and the float is something that's ironically, but not ironically, not really discussed. But the float is one of the most critical components to your stock moving. Let's talk about why. So if there is a large float, theoretically more shares would have to be traded for the stock to move up. If there is a smaller float, less overall shares would have to be traded for a stock to move up or down for that matter. So it's kind of pure physics. Now the interesting part is, well, what is considered a small float versus a large float? This is where the nuance of investing comes in, and this is why you are here today. So here's a column in Trade Ideas in one of our windows called the Top List, and this one is called, Brad, Float Fighters.
Kind of got a musical.
That's right after Foo Fighters, but Float Fighters. So, Float Fighters is a way that I wanted to give everybody an example of how does Dan or Brad or people that are quote-unquote experts at Trade Ideas, and by the way, there are people who are our customers who are way more expert at it than us by now, but we're still pretty good. So, how do you ask expert type of question using our technology? So one of the things that I wanted to show you is we have this thing called a server sort. And a server sort is we go to the exchanges through our server farm in San Diego and we say, hey, exchanges. Okay, maybe we don't scream hey, but we ask politely in internet speak. We say, can you send me a list of all the stocks today that have traded the most percentage of their float? Meaning, like, we already know the float. Show me all the stocks. We're asking this to our own database. Show me all the stocks that have traded the most. So here, I can resort this data. So we have the float and shares, and we can see, well, what's going on? So let's take a look at this information, how it relates to some of these stocks, and talk about what we do as a thesis in keeping it simple but making money at the same time. So look, in these particular examples, I'm not even going to be talking about shorting a stock. Shorting small stocks is very dangerous. There are some people on the internet that recommend doing it. I suggest not to do that because the risk of being wrong once is the risk of losing your ability to ever invest again as you go bankrupt. And also, they can move from here where it looks like you're perfectly right and about to get paid out to where in 2 days you're crying to your mom. You know, you just had her mortgage your house, shorted some more, it falls here, and you're like, here we come, Ferrari land, and then it goes right here. I mean, by the way, before it goes here, that's, Brad, do you remember my one of my favorite things from the old Souls days? I used to call it the point of pain theory. Whatever it is that you're in, it will give you the perfect amount of pain to where you get out right at the worst time, and ultimately it ends up where you think it is, and it would have been here.
It's so accurate. It's such an accurate theory that I'm surprised they don't teach it in school.
I know. Well, because you know, people at school don't.
You got to have money on the line to feel it, right? That's the ultimate truth.
But it's a very good lesson for people to see. Now imagine buying and holding, right? So I mean, how can you even do that with these types of things? Okay, I want to. Everybody, you're about to hear maybe the best thing you've ever heard on a webinar, Brad. I'm about to break down why buying and holding doesn't work. In the best huge way ever. So, Brad, imagine for a minute that you were the owner of a football team. Right. You got your star lineup. You had a great freaking season, Brad. Almost made it to the Super Bowl. And you finish. Next year, you start again with the exact same players. How long do you, I mean literally the exact same players, how long do you think you could do that before you got completely obliterated in the season. I think like never, which is why every NFL team has combines where, you know, you still root for the San Diego Chargers like Brad and I do, but the people that make up the Chargers are always changing because there's competition to play at the NFL level. Brad, do you see what I'm saying?
I do. You always want to have the best in there.
That's right. Whereas people say, hey, I'm going to believe in Apple and I'm going to hold it. And while, by the way, that might work out, although I guarantee you, you would have not enjoyed the ride from 89 to 97. It was fairly painful. I distinctly remember the day where we were talking about, did Bill Gates just like lend Apple $50 million so they wouldn't go out of business? I swear to God, that happened. And then look at where it is now, which goes to talking about the fact that flexibility, fluidity, is the thing that makes you be better. And going back to Bill Gates, he didn't become a billionaire and become wealthy by being diversified in the S&P. So back to physics and the float. So today, Real Good Solar traded 2,500 times its float, and it has a very small float. So let me bring something in here real quick. Bear with me for a second. So in trade ideas, you have different windows, and you can kind of look up. In fact, I'll keep this one here for now so as to look at the fundamental data. So the idea here is that, again, you can see, look at this. This is a tiny float. So there's a stock that's trading, right, that only has 78,000 shares that are available for you to trade, if that number is accurate. And today it traded 1.9 million. Brad, we got to fix that. It's killing me. 1.98 million. There it is. Sorry, we got to fix my dumb hand. So imagine that for a minute. That means that whatever is happening, the physical nature of Real Good Solar is called influx. Okay? So what does that mean, influx? Well, look, it's been here before in this area, and look what happened afterwards. And then it had to snap back, and now it's here again. So we don't know exactly what's going on, and neither does RAI or anyone for that matter. But we ask our AI to hypothesize on how would do scenarios like this look. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to set an alert at 2:07. And for those of you that are not Trade Ideas subscribers, just write this down because I do these things. Again, I try to do both. I try to show you what we do and also help you see why you should be looking. So this thing has been trading so volatilely that I want to see it kind of get out of this range. In fact, I'll say 210. And give myself a very complicated note with an exclamation point. Get some. So that means basically right here, I'm going to buy it if it goes back above this level. If I, by the way, think that I want to do something else, I can always change this by just here I can move it right to here. Or I can move it to here. Or I can move it right here. The idea is that it's simple. It can be visual. There is no right answer. Don't think about pitchforks and channels and all that stuff. Your eyes will tell you the truth. But the physics of momentum has a lot to do with the float moving. So now that we know that, right? So we're going to look at some of the other things. So look at the big difference, by the way, Brad, between the number one, which is at 2,500 times, and then it quickly normalizes to, well, not normalizes, but still, it drops precipitously. So what that tells you is this is an interesting thing to know because there's just not that many things that are doing that, you know? And the idea is, and we're going to show you how to sort and resort this data. So right now we're sorting it just by show me where there's the most action, okay? GBLX, Grow Block Science. Okay, so this is the cannabis field, and I am very involved in this space. I know a lot about it, and again, I have no idea if it's going to go, but I can assure you that there is some very serious interest in this from the physics point of view. Let's see if I can zoom back out. Oh, I mean, this thing is really There we go. It looks like we're getting ready for another dot-com bubble type of run in the marijuana names. Okay? So I'm seeing this, and I immediately want to set up an alert here, which you can do in Trade Ideas on the premium version, and I will say, getting high. It's not about being all serious, it's about communicating what you want to know to yourself. In fact, I'll do it at the 50 level, just to make it nice and even for myself. There we go. So I can zoom out, and here's my alert. That means I really want to see if it'll go for the gusto. You know, very speculative. They only have 187,000 in cash. They've got $2.5 million in debt, but their float is tiny. So again, whenever there's speculation, and since California has medical marijuana on the ballot, that's why these things can really start to go. We don't know the direction.
That other metric that I see on the single stock window, the relative volume, that's also pretty significant. No, up at the top portion. Yeah, right there, 14 times. So that's pretty significant.
Yeah, what's interesting, Brad, is the 14 makes perfect sense when you combine it with something that's, you know, done its float 3 times over. So these are the things that you just simply need to be aware of. So we have Real Good Solar, GBLX. Now look at this one. So here's another example where this stock has been a stock that has been in play. You know, it went from nothing to $4 in like 3 days, came back, did it again, came back, did it again, came back. Now it's made a lower high, and it's pulled back, but it's right at this critical level. And this is where I talk about how, with what you see here and being able to see this information, that something's happening, you don't need to be perfect, you just need to be aware. So how are you going to be aware? Well, you can simply just create an alert for GBR at, let's say, 226 or 228 even, and just jot a note. Could be starting to run.
I mean, obviously, this is just one way to be notified of these types of events. You know, we have all these other channels over on the left that there's a really good chance if that stock wakes up and starts running, is going to be prevalent in the surge channel, in the volume channel,
absolutely,
options channel. You know,
and I will show more of those too. But I've just kind of, you know, wanted to give a high-level example of how you can ask our software to give you just answers to basic questions, you know, and use those simple basic questions to formulate a strategy. Now let me show you something else. So notice how we have these position and ranges, right? And they're color-coded bars that basically tell you, well, where is this stock? Let me see if I can. Oh, this is for today, right? It's the daily and not the 10-day. See if I can pull it up. Okay. So we have these bars for almost every time frame. You can see if something's closing on highs, like this one, and notice this green alert. That means that we've discussed this stock before, and it's gone up since then. The pharmaceutical industry, of course, is a very hot industry, and there's no other reason than that simple fact that Holly and Trade Ideas continuously finds names in this space that are worthy of your attention. Because again, this is where a lot of the innovation is taking place. And when you see it from the perspective of the float, notice again, Brad, how when you resort it by what closed close to highs, right, things just jump right at you, right out at you, right? Like, so what happened here is this Good Times restaurant really tried to form a bottom like it did over here that one time. You see, like, it traded all the way to lows and then closed almost on highs. Very low volume, but I'm just saying from a point of view of behavior. So you can see that low volume, but that's how things potentially can move. And then, of course, right back to that GBLX that we were in before. So, Brad, I did this one, and now what I want to do is I want to bring in another window called And this is just a simple way to do something very similar that we just did in the other window, but just ask another question. So the previous question I did was, I asked the software, where are the stocks that are just turning over the most, trading the most of their float, because something's going on. Well, I can also ask the software for interesting performance metrics. Remember, we break the data down in almost any which way. So here, I asked the software, Brad, to show me what's up the most above its 200-day SMA. This probably is incorrect because of a reverse split, I'm guessing, right? Or something?
I'd have to look at that.
But we'll ignore that one. But so here, what you're seeing is Resolute Energy is 223% above its 200-day moving average. And by the way, we also had an alert on Resolute Energy, and many of the people who have trade ideas have been able to participate in this stock. Brad, one of the best parts about these webinars for me is that you run into the stuff that you've done before, and it's kind of beautiful. Okay, so Resolute Energy, very strong because, again, it's, 224% above its moving average. But we can start to glean some interesting information from there. Remember, while it's very strong, it's also pulled back. So see, like here on this 10-day chart, you can see that it's kind of at the lower end of its 10-day range. So what does that tell you from a speculative point of view? Well, clearly we know what this trend is, and we're right in this gap area. So if this holds, if this price area holds through negativity, you're going to see potentially serious upward momentum in Resolute Energy. So I'm going to set an alert for it right here, 30 cents above. Watch it go. And the same thing. You're seeing it, asking a basic question, seeing something interesting, and then all of a sudden you've got a game plan. Okay? Because now the software will present this to you when it's time to do it. And here, again, you're seeing stocks that are overall strong, okay, like Collucid Pharmaceuticals. I mean, clearly this stock is strong. And again, we've had another alert in it, and now it's pulled back. If this strength is real, this could be a very nice buying opportunity. That's how successful speculation is done. If you only learn one trick to buy just the breakout, then you're destined to fail because the market simply does not always work that way. Let's see, Brad, why don't we make sure that we're caught up on all the questions? I go so fast and I have so much to say.
Well, the one thing that I've noticed is maybe you could post a couple cloud links here to some of these windows.
Okay, sure.
And also the price alerts that you set up. Maybe you want to do that at the end. I don't know if there were going to be more.
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll do that via email. But so one of the things I'll demonstrate is, especially for those of you that don't have trade ideas, so for us, when we designed this technology, we wanted to make sure that support, it was very easy for us to do, but also share information with one another. So I can go into any window, like I SMA something, right-click and say Save or Share to the Cloud. So I'm going to say from QA webinar, and I'm going to say Save and Share. So it's going to save it to my cloud, but now I have a link, and I'm going to copy that link, and I'm going to drop that link. Where am I dropping it? Hold on 1 second. Right, I can go to chat. Here it is. And so I'm going to drop it into the chat section of the webinar, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to bring the float fighters back in, and I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to put it into this mode, right click and say Save and Share to the Cloud, save and share, copy, and then right back to the chat. Now, those of you that are Trade Ideas clients, make sure that the links come through, that you're able to get them, and everything works. Okay, Brad, are we good on the questions? And
yeah, I had another one on colors on the chart, and I think he was just asking about the pink, which was the pre and post market colors. Some of the other colors that do appear are from the price alert. So if you're setting a price alert and it's active, it hasn't triggered yet, it's going to be red. It's going to be that red horizontal line. And if it's triggered, it's going to remain on your chart, but it'll turn green, letting you know that it's triggered.
so the other, Brad, I always like to show people examples.
But go on. You do yours, and I'll take one.
I want to show people examples of why you're here at this webinar is to find things like this. I mean, and obviously it doesn't have to be that price, but these are the things that we are looking for. These are the things you don't hear about on CNBC. Because again, they are part of the thing that makes everybody do the exact same thing. Look at, we specifically at Trade Ideas are looking for these kinds of moves where you have a breakout, like right here, a trending sort of like consolidation period where it finds a range and then it slowly starts to go. We hunt this, and then look what happens. You know, you're talking about, what is this, 2, 4, 6, 300%, right?
Pretty good, yeah.
I mean, if you don't see it, then you never know. That's why you're here. You know, if you do not see it, you never, ever know. Let's see, which was the other one? Here's another one. Look at this, guys. We're talking about from $6 in September to $13.52 right now. Where would you have been seeing these? Well, you would have been seeing them here. This is what we're all about.
So Dan, Fernando asks a great question, and you kind of started to talk about it earlier in the presentation, but let's touch on it a little bit more. And he's asking specifically the difference between server sort and regular sort, which is also known as client-side sort. So maybe you can illustrate it in kind of simple terms. Maybe open up a top list window from your toolbar up there.
Okay, so here, let me show you. So first of all, I went in any window in Trade Ideas, right-click, and you can select Configure to see what's going on. So because things are changing in real time and are always updating as things change, we have a sort that's called the server sort. So the server sort is basically something that we say, okay, look, we're going to have a lot of columns, and we can sort the data on the columns any way you like it. But go to the server and continuously, every 30 seconds, fetch me a list of stocks that are up the most from their 200-day SMA. And that's what's the server sort. In other words, these symbols is a list that will constantly be changing based on new performance and new things that happen in the market. As let's say a stock goes from being up nothing to up 40%, and in that time frame goes way above the 200-day moving average. It wouldn't have been on a list before, but now it is, and then we see it. So that's what the server sort is. And the column sorts are when you just go to any column, and here I can say, well, show me what's the strongest over the last 10 days.
But
right?
that's the strongest of that group of stocks that are above the 200-day moving average.
Right.
Or whatever.
So the strong of the strong.
So this is the secondary sort inside of the window here, and the primary sort is your server sort. So that's delivering a certain set of symbols to the window, and then once those symbols are in the window, you can then manipulate it based on the different data points that we have.
Yeah,
that's as we can explain. I think that should probably make some sense. Good.
No, but I want to make sure again that don't over worry about the server sort. The advantage of you being here, right, of you being in Trade Ideas and of you being able to ask the questions and see these kinds of names when they take place, is that we've done the brute force work for you of creating the technology that does all of this. You don't have to do it. You just have to be attentive to see it. Like these windows, like trend change lubricant, everybody has either my exact version or a version that Barry has or a version that they have been tweaking themselves. But notice again, the beauty is we're right at these inflection points. And that's what I love about these windows, because while the AI gives you a feed.
Dan, I think one of the best examples of the server and client sort is something that we have inside of our active trading channel. It's where we're looking at the biggest gainers, but we're looking for pullbacks, or we're looking at the biggest losers, and we're looking for bounces. And that's just.
So this is a good time to also show how, again, Brad and I, you can channel surf. So here, let me move this window. So here, this channel is the active trading channel. And what Brad's showing you here is a list of stocks. And obviously some of them are blank because there's nothing streaming in real time right now. So that's why you don't see anything. But take a look at Windtree Therapeutics. Okay, so what you had here is a stock that was coming down and was down 10% for the day, because it's still, and you can see it on the daily chart, negative. But over the last 30 minutes, it bounced 5.4%, which is what you see here. So you can say, well, what does that mean? Well, at the very least, it might tell you that this is where the sell pressure is given up. So these windows are perfect examples, as Brad said. Here you have a list of stocks that's, oops, sorry, I don't know why I did that. A list of stocks that are strong for the day, like AKS, but over the last 30 minutes, and this is probably relating to steel, I guess, I mean, maybe to its earnings, but here over the last 30 minutes, down 4%. So while technically strong overall, negative. And what that means on these is, similarly, is that if you're a net buyer, you're getting a good price. And if you're a net shorter, you know, this is a good time to get on the other side. All of these setups are quote unquote those perfect either pullback or bounce setups, and I think they demonstrate, like Brad said, exactly what the server is doing. You're looking for here you're looking for the losers out of the winners, and here you're looking for the winners out of the losers.
Hey, go ahead and sort it on change from the close, just like you did on that pullback. Either one. In this one, show all the losers, right? So right here, right now, it's got the same secondary sort as primary sort. It's got the same client-side sort as server sort, the change from the close. And if you did the same thing for the other one, you'd see the biggest winners. And that's how you can manipulate the data. All of those symbols are going to stay in each of the windows, but you can kind of change the sort order based on, you know, where it is in its range, how much it's moved over 30 minutes, on a percent, on a dollar, all that good stuff.
This is the matrix, but better. And again, this is why you won't see this kind of information really anywhere but at Trade Ideas and the creme de la creme. And you know, and I didn't even like jump right. Usually I talk about this first, but I really kind of wanted you to see the underpinnings, what's underlying it. And then of course you have our AI, which today had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 total suggested trades. And out of those 11 total suggested, you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 that were profitable, 1 flat, and 3 losers. Which, statistically speaking, considering that you're starting from scratch, is basically insane. This is exactly the kind of thing that the pundits tell you can't be done. We have the technology that can, again, I even hate saying the words beat the market, because the market is so crude from that point of view. You know, beating the S&P should not be that difficult. You just have to be under-diversified and have the flexibility to say when you're wrong. So it is it's an interesting fundamental approach that, you know, you hear a lot on CNBC arguments over passive or active investing. I mean, I really don't see how you cannot be active in today's environment where information gets digested at the speeds that it's being digested. It's just, it's silly to me, and we already discussed it and explained it in terms of the combine and the NFL. But here, so whereas before I was showing you just tools that you could use to find interesting things, here you have an AI that's telling you, like for example, today, if you're starting from the open. So first it went short OAS suggested, then it went long CCJ, then it went short STL, and you can kind of see the time. So first one was at 7 a.m. So the AI didn't see anything interesting for the first half hour, which is not always the case. Then there was one at 7 a.m., one 7:03, 23, 25, 29, 7:33. Then there was like another pause, 8:04. Then another pause, 9:01, 9:13, and then two more trades. And again, these are West Coast times. You can expand it, you can see it better. But where else can you get the kind of feed and the human feedback that puts it all together? We did this whole business, we did this whole company because we were tired of everybody just throwing more tools at you, but nobody even shedding one iota of a light bulb in terms of, well, how do you take action with these tools? So this is what you're seeing here. This is the how you take action. You, at worst, you follow the AI in risk off mode and make sure that you do not exceed its losses on a large amount. Okay, so Brad, there was a question on the web about how Trade Ideas finds tight consolidations on a 3-minute and 5-minute chart. The thing is this, you would do it in a number of different ways. Like for example, there's alert windows, and you can search, and you can say, there's different patterns.
You can type consolidation. It'll bring in some consolidation filters
that
we have on intraday time frame.
I know that we have our, there's the triangle top, triangle bottom, broadening top. We have all these built-in pattern recognition designed by hours of trading. So you could just select triangle top, for example, add the alert, and you could watch it. So it's an algorithm that's built inside. You can be more specific. You can, like Brad said, consolidation. You can see all the different consolidation breakouts. And then there's also various consolidation type of filters where you can design it, like how many consecutive up candles or down candles. There is a Torah of volume of support materials. And
there's also one other kind of little hidden Easter egg, if you will. If you go to the, go ahead and click on the symbol list tab. And if you're looking for daily patterns, go to the add existing list, and then there's going to be a folder there called daily. Go ahead and hit that plus next to it, expand it. And these right here are symbol lists that we automatically put together every day based on some different patterns that it's looking for. I don't see a consolidation one there, but there's some of the other pattern recognitions like the engulfing and the bearish. So that's available here.
And these are also easy to add. And the thing is, though, I mean, I'll just say that, Brad, what we found, and the reason you're here, and the reason why we even invented Trade Ideas, is because what we know from mathematics, we do about 1 million simulations every evening for Holly. And what we know is that the human ability to decide what is or is not a triangle is really fairly arbitrary. You don't really know. You think you do, but you don't, because, let me just show you, and I'm not trying to be insulting in any way, shape, or form, even if it comes out that way. But look here, imagine this. Well, how do you know which part is the triangle? Because triangles are relative to scale. And something that is a triangle on one scale isn't on another. And do you start it here? Do you start it here? Is this a triangle? Is that a triangle? What about this really steep triangle? These are the problems that everybody runs into, and some of them is called, there's a name for it in technical analysis terms, it's called the hard right edge. Everything looks awesome in hindsight, but if you were actually doing it the way it really works, you would find that technical analysis is just yet another thingy on your graph. So what we do is this. Let me just show you real quick. And this is probably a good way to finish the presentation and the Q&A. I'm going to start from scratch, and I'm going to search for consolidation. I'm going to show you what was really the foundation of the AI as well. Okay, so here's a 30-minute consolidation breakout. So we have an algorithm that says if something breaks out over a 30-minute period, let me know. And you can put even a, Brad, what's the dollars amount for this one do? I forget.
That's going to notify, so you could put in 5 cents, and if you put in 5 cents, it's going to wait until it's 5 cents above what it found that consolidation resistance to be.
Right, so here again, I can put in a universe that I want, like $1 to 100, and I can say volume today was, let's say, 500,000, even though you don't need anything like that, but we can just say 500,000, and we'll say consolidation breakout. So we've got the algorithm for consolidation, and we've got the consolidation breakout. Here's, FANG. No, not the thing you're thinking of. I'm just kidding. It's just another stock. So here it's probably something like this, part of the consolidation breakout. Makes sense. So now we're going to ask the computer, okay, so we know what these consolidation breakouts are. What do I do with it? And through our odds maker technology, which is part of the premium service, again, but this is the technology that the artificial intelligence is based on. I can say, I want to test the speculation that anytime something like this happens, from the morning to the close, I'm going to buy it. So I'm going to simulate what happens when I trade these signals. And is it good? And
the thing is, there are going to be some great ones in there, but that's just not the norm.
That's right. I mean, well, here's the thing. When they work all right in terms of profit factor, meaning your average winner is pretty good compared to your average loser. The problem is you're just not winning enough. And whatever that happened here, let's take a look. What's nice is you can kind of easily see, most likely Sarepta. Did that get bought out, or was it like a split or something? Or did they get? Yeah, they did get it bought out. Let me go take a look. SRPT. What the hell was going on there? Oh, it was all okay. So awesome. Hey, Brad, we nailed this one. Nailed the SRPT, but even with that, you get the idea, right? So let's go back. I'll just rerun it one more time, and this time I'll ask a different question. I'm going to say, okay, I held this for 30 minutes before. What if I hold it to the close, more of a buying hold?
So guys, what Dan's doing here is what you can do with the odds maker, but it's really what Holly does with this data that makes it really, really incredible. So she's doing this, but she's doing a million different calculations, and she's looking at this 30-minute consolidation breakout and saying, what if I add relative volume? What if I make my relative volume this? What if I say it needs to be a certain distance above the SMA? It's doing all of these different hypothetical calculations to come up with a strategy for tomorrow. And that strategy, even if it appears the next day, could be different because she looks at the next day's data, makes changes to it, and runs through this whole thing, this combine that Dan was talking about, every single day.
Well, here, and I also am right now letting her do it on a swing trading basis. So this is holding it for 5 days. Now everything is really bad. So you can find these things out numerically, not visually. And that's what I really want to say that you should focus on. Whenever people say to me about, oh, why don't you add these trend lines to your charts and stuff like that, we say, look, guys, it's in the numbers, really. And our approach to investing is a numeric approach, just like MIT did not try to wing it at the blackjack table. You know, they were trying to do it scientifically. We do the same things. And the reason that we win, okay, the reason that we do so well, Brad, this is the finale, Brad, the grand finale. The fireworks are going off, okay? And this is, again, hopefully to show you that we watch, and our software watches all of the data. So this is our AI performance from the beginning versus the S&P. And we can check various options. Like, for example, our most conservative approach, it's called risk off, is still, even just being very conservative, you're doing very well against the S&P. But what about the internal algorithms? Like, how is each one performing? There's a lot of interesting things that we can find out. And we're able to use this data, and the software uses this data internally to help us do better. Brad, I was going to use this one as an example because it's so interesting, in my opinion. Notice the success rate here. Of course, it's much worse than the SPY because it's going for like pennies, you know? So it's not really a fair comparison, but look at the success rate of the old Abe. Brad, are you hiding?
No, I'm wondering what happened to Abe.
What do you mean what happened to Abe? Abe's doing good.
I'm wondering what happened to it because I haven't seen Abe since April.
Well, no, I'm just, listen, Brad, if you just dove into the data like I do. So anyways, we imagine this. Here's another example. This is a strategy that outperforms the S&P that's internally part of the Trade Ideas system, and it's constantly getting augmented. But even with all this firepower, let's look at the bullish pullback, and what you'll see is that even with all of this amazing firepower, not every strategy is good by itself, and it doesn't beat the SPYs all the time. So that's why I'm saying that think of all that we are doing internally to give you the signals that you see here. So much is happening underneath the scenes to make this happen. And the exciting thing for me, Brad, is this webinar. I mean, it's kind of like the best that we can do. We can just showcase this. We are now in the world of artificial intelligence can out-invest man. But you still have to be the one that lets you be open to it. So, Brad, did we catch up on all the questions?
I think we did. Yep.
Okay, Scott, do you want to close up shop with the rest of the offers?
Yeah, I can play you guys out. Let's pull up this slide with the offers for. We're going to run this code through Halloween. It's some way to thank everyone for attending and also thank everyone that participated in the open house last week. You can use that code you see on your screen, all caps, just like you see it, Haunted House, and that saves you 20% off your first month or year of premium, or 15% off your first month or year of standard. Now, of course, the premium model has all the newest technology from Trade Ideas, including the artificial intelligence, the shareable price alerts, unlimited backtesting, all kinds of great stuff. But both the standard and the premium include a lot of the same things, like the streaming real-time data, covers your exchange fees, includes the charts, and very importantly, a full hour of one-on-one training, which makes just your first month an outstanding value. As soon as you sign up for Trade Ideas, go to the support section, click on training, and pick the best time and date for you. And you get an appointment with Andy or Jamie or Steve, and they're longtime expert users of Trade Ideas, and they will walk you through how to get the most out of Trade Ideas right away. So you can also download a PDF with this information and contact information by going to the handouts panel, clicking on the plus sign, expanding it, and clicking on the download link. So just go to trade-ideas.com/price and use that code to save. You can also, if you're on standard, just go ahead and use that code to buy the premium version. It'll overwrite your existing subscription, and there you go. If you have any questions, go ahead and email us at info@trade-ideas.com. You can contact Dan directly. He's Dan at Dan is also a Trade Ideas 1 on Twitter. There's also at Trade Ideas, and we've got some other ones we give out occasionally. Facebook.com/Trade Ideas Pros is how to find us on Facebook. So if you're on there, just go ahead and like us. You'll get some additional content scrolling across your feed sometimes that we don't post elsewhere. And if you have any subscription or payment questions, you can use our 619 phone number during normal business hours on the West Coast. Dwayne, just go ahead and email info@Trade Ideas and see if that's applicable to you. I see that question there. So thanks, everyone. Thanks, Dan. Thanks, Brad. Those of you on the Trade of the Week mailing list will already have invites for the Trade of the Week webinar tonight. That should be a good one. That's going to be hosted by Steve Gomez, I believe. Thanks, all. And we'll get this recording up tonight or tomorrow morning. Thanks, guys.